Welcome to First National Bank's Coach's Corner with Tony Tone and Muscatine High School football coach Jake Mueller. Listen online at vintage931.com or on your smartphone with the free Vintage Sound app. Let's start the show.
I felt ridiculous when I just asked Coach Mueller, I'm like, who did you play last week? And he said Central, Davenport Central. It was a Thursday, and I don't know why it still feels like that was not last week, like that was 2 weeks ago, but it was last Thursday.
Yeah, sure was.
That's what you're telling me.
Yeah.
Oh, and that was the only Thursday game of the season.
Correct.
You're glad that's over with,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
there's good and bad about it,
right?
But I prefer regular Friday night games.
I think everybody does too. You beat Davenport Central pretty handedly.
Yeah,
and you're 3-0.
Correct.
This is exciting.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
Everybody's feeling good.
Yeah.
Now each week you're not walking around like you got a chip on your shoulder, nothing like that. But each week you're preparing and getting ready for the next game. Clinton tomorrow.
Yeah.
On the road. We're going to get to that in a second. But coming off of the Central game, again, like we always do, some things you liked that you saw that maybe you hadn't seen in week 1 or week 2.
Mm-hmm. Well, I thought week 3, which was last week against Central, we didn't really play as well as I would have liked. I thought we saw a nice big step forward from week 1 to week 2, and then I don't know if I'd call it a step back, but it surely wasn't a step forward.
Okay,
we kind of didn't make the improvements that I would like to have seen, especially just too many penalties on offense.
Yep.
I don't know what to attribute that was, but hopefully we can just do a better job of focusing and concentrating and doing our job, and then. Defensively, we didn't give up very many points, but we did have a hard time getting off the field, just letting drives just kind of just continue to go too often. We didn't get the stops we needed when we wanted to. But generally, you give up 7 points, it's a good night. And they got their touchdown on a long play, a couple missed assignments, and maybe even a questionable call missed that was in there. But at the end of the day, like I told our kids, we were 3-0, and so that's good.
Right.
But our expectation of what a good football team how they should play, we didn't quite meet that, and so we want to let them know that too. So it's kind of a, you want to make sure you leave feeling good that you are 3-0. Not everybody is, and so you can't forget that. But at the same time, if you want to accomplish some of the goals that we've talked about having, you also can't just walk away thinking everything's all,
hunky-dory,
yeah.
right?
I was going to say that, but I don't really like, I was trying to think of a better phrase, but I'm glad you said that.
Everything's okie-dokie.
Yeah. So I don't want him to feel like that.
You don't want him to be complacent with a win.
Yeah, exactly. So, we mentioned a few things that we felt like we could improve on, and I think the kids knew. I didn't really have to tell them that. I think they knew. And to Davenport Central's credit, they were a much improved team from week 2 to week 3.
Yeah.
They got a new coaching staff, and I think they started to get some things turned around. So, you always got that other opponent too. So, they're trying to win the game just as well.
They seemed, and obviously I wasn't there, I was listening, but they seemed, again, like these 3 games, you've faced some physical teams. You've come out on the right side, and you guys have played on the same level, obviously better, 3-0. But the physicality each week, right? You're not going in and taking on like a bunch of undersized. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They had pretty good size, some good sized kids.
Yeah,
and they like to run the ball.
Right.
So anytime you have a team that's going to run the ball, like probably 90% of the time, you've got to be physical and ready to play. And we knew going into the game that they had some running backs that had a lot of big play potential, and they did. I coach track, so I see. What type of athletes they have on the track,
right.
And they've always got good sprinters, 400 or 100, 200 kids, and so I knew that at any moment in time they've got guys that can make big plays. So for the most part, I thought we did a pretty decent job, but not quite to the level that we would like to be at just yet.
Well, going into the game last week that they're run heavy, so your defense is prepared. So when and I'm not criticizing your defense, obviously, but when you know that your opponent is going to run, and you're prepared for that, and then it doesn't get executed as well, I could see where that would be a frustration or a concern coming into this week, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a concern. And then the other concern with that is this week is going to be totally different, where we're going to face a team that throws the ball a ton. They like to throw the ball quite a bit. Their quarterback is leading Class 4A in passing yards.
Wow.
So very talented quarterback who has a good arm, very accurate with the ball, and then they've got a 6'4" receiver who is fast and can make plays. We haven't played a receiver like him yet.
Wow.
And so we'll have our hands full on defense trying to stop the big plays in the passing game.
I tell you what, it's going to be a good game tomorrow night. We're going to take a short break, come right back, and preview Muscatine versus Clinton, which is tomorrow night, heard on our sister station. Hang tight. It's the First National Bank Coach's Corner coming back in less than 30 seconds.
First National Bank is proud to sponsor the On the Money program at Muscatine High School. When the volleyball, swim, basketball, and baseball teams score big, they earn money for the Muskie Boosters. Since 1997, their hard work has earned over $55,000 in donations from First National Bank. We are also proud to sponsor the Muskie Football Red Zone. Can't make it to the game? Don't miss a minute of the excitement. Tune into AM 860 or FM 95.1 to hear the games broadcast live. Go Muskies. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
You're listening to First National Bank's Coach's Corner on Vintage Sound 93.1.
5 minutes after 8 o'clock, Thursday morning, 17th of September. First National Bank Coach's Corner, Tony Tone, Muskie head football coach Jake Mueller on the road tomorrow to Clinton, where I didn't know that they're pass heavy and a wide receiver that's 6'4", Coach. That's tall wide receiver.
Yeah, and he's athletic. He's not just like a guy who just stands there. He can run, and so we don't face too many kids that bring that type of height, athleticism that he does. So, and then you throw on top of that a very good, talented, accurate quarterback. It's going to present some challenges to us that hopefully, with this week practice, that we have prepared ourselves well enough to do well.
So is it a thing with the quarterback where he's favoring obviously the big target, or does he spread it out a little bit?
He spreads it out a little bit,
okay.
But that's his guy.
Okay.
They need big plays or whatever. That's the guy they're going to go to, number 82.
Yeah, number 82. You know already.
Yeah,
I love it. Yes, we're coming for you, 82. So how do you because. And I don't know your depth with the roster, but when you simulate practice, do you have somebody that has been playing that 82 role, that 6'4", that physical, tall, big?
We don't have anybody that's 6'4" that's playing receiver. No.
You can't even find somebody that's in the school that's maybe playing basketball. You're like, hey, I need you for a week. You got a coach you can throw out there.
There's probably some kids out there, but.
It's tough though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because you're not, I don't want to say you're undersized, but again, it would be in a perfect world, you come into each game and you know who you have to watch for. So obviously you got to get pressure on the quarterback and you know that his favorite target is this big athletic kid.
Yeah.
So then when you can't sort of simulate that throughout the week, it can be a little challenging. Now your defense is tackling well, they're matching up. And maybe this will be another test, kind of like Central. You knew they were going to be run heavy, came in, still only gave up, 7 points?
Yeah.
Which is great.
Yeah.
Clinton pass heavy. Are they scoring a lot of points? They're 2-1, right?
Yeah, so they scored a lot of points week 1 and week 2, and then last week against Linmar, they struggled a little bit, and they only put up 2 touchdowns. So, it's kind of hard to get a read on them exactly where they're at, but just like the kid that's 6'4", that's hard to match up, they also got a nose tackle that's 6'2", 300 pounds. And so we don't have any of those guys either. So,
right.
Every week you're going to find some of that, and you just have to, it doesn't change your job or your role or your, your assignment or what you're supposed to do. You just have to go out and do the very best you can.
So how are we, how's Muscatine? Obviously you're 3-0, coming into the game tomorrow without giving too much away. Are we all pretty healthy?
Yeah, we're pretty healthy. There's a couple kids that have your typical midseason football injuries. Maybe ankle or sore knees, things like that. But right now, knock on wood, we don't have anything significant. So, we're very fortunate in that end, and thankful to have a great training staff and with Nicole Calvert. And I think a lot of that has to do with our kids do a great job year round in the weight room. Not only gaining strength, but it helps tremendously in preventing injuries. So
for sure,
I think that's been a key for us as well.
And again, a lot of these guys that are juniors that worked out, it's really paying off. I mean, you've seen guys that in a year's time they just kind of I don't want to say they're grown men now, but they're tough. I mean, there's
a couple kids
right?
that I watched play sophomore football, and I did not think that they would be ready to play for us this year. And that's what's kind of fun about being a coach is you get to see some of those stories where there's a kid that was maybe a fringe player or played a little bit for the sophomores that all of a sudden in a year's time he's starting on varsity,
right?
And that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I mean, especially if a player like that was a little undersized and then just committed themselves to working out and building that muscle and the agility.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. It's like you could be a brick house, but if you can't move, there's no use for you.
Yeah,
so you got to be agile, and that's what I love about like the modern day athlete, especially on the line. And you see it in the NFL. That like an offensive lineman is not a big slob anymore.
Yeah,
I think of somebody like a Kyle Long for the Bears that's lean and in good shape because you have to.
You have to be.
The speed of the game, and all the way down to high school too, right?
For sure.
You need your linemen to be.
You gotta be able to move.
Yeah,
you gotta be able to move. If you can't move, move your feet, run, be athletic, change directions. It's just hard. You can be big, strong, and if you can't move, you're ineffective.
Right.
Really ineffective. So. There's very few positions on the football field for a big, strong kid that can't move.
Right.
It's
true.
Maybe PAT.
Right.
Things like that. But for the most part, you got to be able to move. And with football, you can be big, fast, strong, athletic, and have all those physical attributes. But you also better have a good feel for the game, understand what needs to be done, watch film, know your assignment. So there's just so many factors and. That play into having success on the field.
Right. So here we go. Right. So 3-0 at Clinton, and then a week from. And again, we don't like to look ahead too much, but it is exciting because a week from tomorrow, you come back home, and the first this home game next week is your first district game.
Correct.
And it's the Cedar Rapids Washington, who had a great year last year.
Yeah, they played for a state title.
Right. Okay. So did they, in just a little bit, did they graduate a lot of guys from that team? Or did they retain most of them?
They graduated a few key guys,
okay.
But there's 4 or 5 or 6 kids probably 6 to 7 kids that were really key players that are back for them.
Okay.
They're really talented.
Yeah.
They're as talented of a team that will play all year.
So again, you have Clinton on the radar, and you're practicing, but that's ahead of you.
Yeah, and it's different where, like in a traditional 9-game schedule, before there was districts, we're always locked in and focused on the opponent in front of us. But in this current setup the way it is, with this being a non-district game and that being a district game, you'd be foolish not to know what's ahead of you next week because – we could go 4-0 in the non-district schedule and not make the playoffs. So next week against Washington, that's when our games start to count towards the playoffs. And so, I guess as a coach, I've got to make sure that our kids know that there's just a different level of importance on next week's game.
Sure.
We're going to try put our best foot forward tomorrow night, and we're going to go and try and win a football game.
Yeah.
But knowing that district level is just it's a different it's just different.
The season starts kind of, right?
Yeah, it's the second season.
Yeah,
it really is.
The second season starts next week. Now, in a perfect world, it's like 45-0 Muscatine tomorrow in the third quarter, and you can maybe rest some guys.
Yeah, that would
not to take anything away from the opponent, but you are looking. Again, perfect world. Tomorrow goes well early, and then maybe you pull some guys in that haven't got a lot of looks, so that some of these starters are getting a little rest. Again, hold on, can't control this. We're just gonna edit it out. Hopefully, it's not a real emergency. That's loud in my headphones. All right, just like that. You never had that happen before.
I've not had that happen.
I guess they just wanted to make sure that it works.
Yeah.
So, as I was saying, perfect scenario, you go into Clinton, things are going well. Is that something that you would do, Coach, if it's 45 to or 35-7. You going to rest some guys, or are you going to step on the gas?
Hopefully,
you know what?
Hopefully we can do both.
Okay.
Hopefully we can do both.
Because, again, not taking anything away from the game, but knowing that team next week, that Wash team coming into town, that's business.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, it's a different ball game. So, you like I said, we want to try to win every single game on
Absolutely.
our schedule. But there's no question that next week and all the games after are a different important level. So, there's a lot of things we're going to try to get accomplished tomorrow night. And that being said, what I told our team this week is even though next week's games start to be a different level of importance, you can't skip steps in football.
Sure.
And so we have gradually started climbing and kind of hovered last week, and we got to continue to take steps forward. And so we can't skip a step. And tomorrow night is a step towards preparation for the district play.
Yeah, and it's going to be here before you know it. I mean, next week. And then as we peek ahead a little bit further, homecoming is Friday, October 9th against Ottumwa. Isn't it nice to not have to go to Ottumwa, make them come to us?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, the amount of travel this year has been great. Sure, we'll go to Clinton, no problem. If we cannot go to Dubuque or Ottumwa. All right. Well, I appreciate you coming in early. I know that we're both kind of doing the mock interview thing today.
Yeah.
I've never done it before. I don't really know what to expect, but I'm going to, I got the cheat sheet, and I guess I'll ask some tough questions, right?
Sure, yeah.
Maybe you could be my wingman over there.
I'll try to
Since you can't, because you're like the top dog over there, and I kind of have a little thing going on over here. Together, we could dominate these mock interviews.
I think so. I don't know if I'd call myself the top dog.
Well, one of the top dogs. If there's 5 top dogs over there, you're in that top 5, right?
I don't know.
I'll tell McGrory make that happen. All right, listen, Muscatine versus Clinton tomorrow night on KWPC, our sister station. That's AM 860, FM 95.1, the Voice of Muscatine. Brian Mussel, Jim Miller will have the call. The Muskies are undefeated, 3-0 on the season, going into Clinton. And then, folks, next Friday, the first district game is a home game against Cedar Rapids, Washington, and we'll get you ready for that. Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for coming in as always, and go Muskies. 8:15 at Vintage Sound with a quick break right now.
You're